The millionaire's manhood doesn't rise until he sees his maid. For years, tech billionaire Ethan had suffered from a rare medical condition that left him unable to perform as a man, destroying his confidence and every relationship he'd attempted. Doctors, specialists, and therapists had all failed to help him until Jenna, the quiet hotel maid, accidentally walked into his penthouse suite at the Ritz-Carlton, New York, Central Park. For the first time in years, his body responded instantly and powerfully. But the shocking reason why only she could affect him would reveal a truth that could heal his broken soul or destroy them both forever. Get ready for a story that will leave you speechless and make you believe in the power of destiny. Stay with me until the very end, because this story will restore your faith in humanity. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and comment your thoughts throughout the story. Your engagement helps us bring you more incredible narratives. The penthouse suite at the Ritz-Carlton, New York, Central Park commanded a breathtaking view of the city skyline, but Ethan barely noticed the luxury surrounding him. He had built a tech empire worth billion, but all his success felt meaningless when he couldn't function as a man. The latest test results show no physical abnormalities, Dr. Lauren Hayes said, closing the medical file that had consumed years of his life. Your testosterone levels are normal. Blood flow is excellent. Neural pathways are intact. Physically, there's no reason for your condition. Then why? Ethan's voice carried the frustration of a man who had tried everything. Medications, therapy, specialists in 3 countries, all with zero success. Sometimes psychological trauma can manifest in ways that defy medical explanation. The mind-body connection is more powerful than we understand. Ethan stared out at the city where he commanded boardrooms and built companies, but couldn't experience the most basic aspect of masculine intimacy. 3 relationships had ended because of his condition. His confidence had shattered completely. Have you considered that perhaps you haven't met the right person? Someone who creates the psychological safety necessary for healing. Doctor, I've been with beautiful, intelligent, caring women. The problem isn't them, it's me. The problem is trauma that hasn't been properly addressed. Until you identify what caused this condition, we can't treat the root cause. After Dr. Hayes left, Ethan sat alone in his suite, thinking about the accident years ago that had changed everything. The night he'd lost his parents in a car crash while rushing to the hospital to be with him during emergency surgery. The night guilt and grief had somehow broken something fundamental inside him. A soft knock interrupted his brooding. "Housekeeping," a gentle voice called from the hallway. "Come in, Ethan," replied up absently, not bothering to move from his position by the windows. The door opened quietly, and Ethan heard the subtle sounds of someone working efficiently around the suite. He'd been staying at this hotel for weeks during business meetings, and the housekeeping staff had learned to clean around him without intrusion. But something was different today. A warmth seemed to fill the room, a presence that made him feel less alone than he had in months. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize you were still here." Ethan turned toward the voice and felt his world shift completely. Standing near the bathroom, wearing the standard black and white housekeeping uniform, was the most naturally beautiful woman he'd ever seen. Her dark skin seemed to glow in the afternoon light. Her hair was pulled back in neat braids, and her brown eyes held a kindness that took his breath away. "It's fine," he managed to say, though his voice sounded strange to his own ears. "Continue with your work." As she moved through the suite, changing linens, organizing the sitting area, refreshing flowers, Ethan found himself unable to look away. There was something about her presence that calmed the constant anxiety he'd carried for years. "What's your name?" he asked as she prepared to leave. "Jenna." "Sir?" How long have you worked here? 2 months, sir. Is there anything specific you need for your room? Ethan was about to answer when he felt something that shocked him completely. Physical arousal, sudden and unmistakable for the first time in years. He stared at Jenna in amazement, his body responding to her presence in ways that no amount of medical intervention had been able to achieve. Sir, are you feeling all right? I'm fine. Better than fine. Is there anything else I can do for you? Ethan realized he was staring at her with an intensity that was probably making her uncomfortable. No, thank you. You've done more than enough. After Jenna left, Ethan stood in the empty suite, processing what had just happened. 2 years of medical failure and minutes with a hotel maid had achieved what countless doctors couldn't. The question was, why? He called the hotel's housekeeping manager immediately. This is Ethan in the penthouse suite. I need to request specific housekeeping services. Of course, sir. What can we arrange for you? I want Jenna assigned to my room exclusively while I'm staying here. No other housekeeping staff. Certainly, sir. May I ask if there was an issue with her service? No issue. Her service was perfect. I want consistency during my stay. What Ethan didn't tell the manager was that he was going to figure out why this woman had the power to heal what years of medicine couldn't touch. The next morning, he waited for Jenna's arrival like a man, anticipating a miracle. When she knocked at exactly a.m., his body immediately began responding before she even entered the room. Good morning, sir, Jenna said, entering with her cleaning supplies and the same gentle presence that had affected him so powerfully the day before. Good morning, Jenna. Please call me Ethan. Oh, I couldn't do that, sir. Hotel policy requires. I'm requesting that you call me Ethan. It's important to me. Jenna studied his face, noting something different about his demeanor. If that's what you prefer, Ethan. The sound of his name in her voice sent electricity through his entire system. Jenna, can I ask you something personal? I suppose that depends on what it is. Do you feel anything unusual when you're in this room? Any kind of connection or energy? Jenna paused in her dusting, considering the question. Seriously, I do actually. This room feels different than others. I clean more peaceful. I thought it was just because you're not like the other guests. How am I different? Most wealthy guests treat housekeeping staff like we're invisible. You see me as a person. You are a person. A remarkable person, from what I can tell. Sir Ethan, is everything all right? You seem like you're dealing with something difficult. Her intuition and compassion struck him deeply. I am dealing with something difficult, something I've been struggling with for years. Do you want to talk about it? Ethan looked at this woman who somehow had the power to heal his broken body just by being in the same room and made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Jenna, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound strange, but I think you might be the only person who can help me. Jenna set down her cleaning supplies and looked at Ethan with genuine concern. Something in his voice told her this wasn't a wealthy man's whim. This was someone in real pain reaching out for help. What kind of help do you need? She asked softly. Ethan walked to the window, gathering courage to share something he'd never told anyone outside of medical professionals. And years ago, I lost my parents in a car accident. Since that night, I've been unable to function as a man, physically unable. Jenna's expression shifted to compassion. I'm sorry about your parents. The doctors say there's nothing physically wrong with me. It's psychological trauma manifesting as a physical condition. I've tried everything. Therapy, medication, specialists around the world. Nothing has worked. Until yesterday, when you walked into this room. For the first time in years, my body responded normally. Jenna felt heat rise in her cheeks as she understood what he was telling her. Oh, I know this is awkward and inappropriate. Here to do your job, not deal with my medical problems, but Jenna, you're the only person who's been able to affect me this way since the accident. Why do you think that is? I don't know. That's what I'm hoping we can figure out together. Jenna was quiet for a long moment, processing this extraordinary confession. Ethan, I need to be honest with you about something too. What? I feel something when I'm near you. Something I've never experienced with any other man. It's like my body recognizes you somehow. What do you mean? I mean, when I'm in this room with you, I feel safe in a way I've never felt safe before. And I feel attracted to you in ways that don't make sense. Given our circumstances, Ethan turned to face her fully. Our circumstances. You're a billionaire staying in a penthouse suite. I'm a hotel maid working 2 jobs to support my sick grandmother. We exist in completely different worlds. What if those different worlds are supposed to intersect? What if there's a reason we affect each other this way? What kind of reason? I don't know yet, but I want to find out with your help. Jenna studied his face, seeing vulnerability beneath the confidence that wealth usually provided. What exactly are you asking me to do? I'm asking you to spend time with me, not as my employee, but as yourself. Let me get to know you. Let yourself get to know me. See if we can understand this connection between us. Ethan, I could lose my job if hotel management thinks I'm involved with a guest. You won't lose your job. I'll make sure of that. How? Because I own a controlling stake in this hotel chain. Jenna stared at him in shock. You own the Ritz-Carlton, New York, Central Park? I own enough of it to protect your employment. Yes. So, when you requested me specifically for your room, I was ensuring we'd have the opportunity to explore whatever this is between us. Jenna sank into one of the suite's elegant chairs, overwhelmed by the implications. This is insane. Yes, it is. But it's also the first hope I've had in years. What if we figure out this connection and it doesn't work the way you hope? What if I can't actually help you heal? Then at least I'll have spent time with the most beautiful, kind, genuine woman I've ever met. You don't know anything about me. I know you work 2 jobs to take care of your grandmother. I know. You treat everyone with respect, regardless of their status. I know you have a presence that makes troubled people feel peaceful. That tells me everything important about your character. How do you know about my grandmother? I may have done some research after yesterday. You investigated me. I wanted to understand why you affect me so powerfully. I thought your background might provide clues. And what did you find? Ethan hesitated, realizing he was about to reveal information that might upset her. I found that your parents died in a car accident when you were the same age. I was when I thought I'd lost everything important to me the first time. The first time my parents didn't die when I was, but I thought they had. There was an accident, and I spent 3 days believing they were dead before discovering they'd survived. The trauma of those 3 days changed me, fundamentally. And when they actually died years ago, it brought back all the trauma from when I was plus new grief and guilt. I was supposed to meet them for dinner that night, but I canceled because of work. If I hadn't canceled, they wouldn't have been on that road at that time. Jenna felt tears forming as she recognized the pain in his voice. So, we both lost our parents in car accidents, and we both carry guilt about it. What guilt do you carry? I was supposed to be in the car with them that night. I stayed home because I was sick, with the flu. If I'd been there, maybe I could have warned them about the drunk driver who ran the red light. Or maybe you would have died with them. Sometimes I think that would have been easier. I understand that feeling. They sat in silence for several minutes, both processing the shared trauma that might explain their unusual connection. Jenna, can I ask you something else? Yes. When you touch things in this room, the furniture, the linens, whatever, do you feel anything unusual? What do you mean? I mean, do objects feel different when you handle them here? Jenna considered the question, thinking about her cleaning routine in his suite. Actually, everything feels warmer somehow. More. Alive. Touch me. What? Touch my hand. I want to see if you feel the same warmth. Jenna hesitated, then reached out and placed her palm against his. The moment their skin made contact, both of them gasped. Do you feel that? Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. It's like electricity, but warm. Like coming home. Exactly. They remained connected for several moments, both marveling at the energy flowing between them. Ethan, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest. Okay, is this about healing your condition, or is it about me? At first, it was about healing my condition. But sitting here with you, feeling this connection, talking about our shared experiences, it's becoming about you. What does that mean for us? It means I want to spend time with you, regardless of whether it helps my medical situation. I want to know everything about you, your dreams, your fears, your favorite foods, what makes you laugh, and if your condition does improve, what happens then? Then we figure out what kind of relationship we want to build together. A relationship between a billionaire and a hotel maid. A relationship between two people who understand each other's pain and somehow make each other feel whole. Jenna pulled her hand away immediately, missing the warmth of contact. This is moving very fast. It is. Does that scare you? Terrifies me, but also excites me. So, you'll give this a chance? I'll give us a chance. But we need rules. What kind of rules? We take this slowly. We get to know each other as people before we explore the physical aspects of whatever this is. And you need to understand that I'm not looking for a sugar daddy arrangement. If we're going to be together, it has to be because we genuinely care about each other. Agreed. Anything else? If this doesn't work out, I need your promise that you won't use your influence to hurt my career or my life. Jenna, I would never. I need you to promise. I promise. If this doesn't work out between us, I'll make sure you're protected and taken care of, not punished. Then, let's see what happens. As Jenna gathered her cleaning supplies to leave, Ethan felt his body responding to her presence again, confirming that yesterday hadn't been a fluke. Jenna, yes, thank you for giving us a chance. Thank you for trusting me with your truth. After she left, Ethan sat in his suite, feeling more hopeful than he had in years, but he had no idea that his ex-fiancée Isabella Rhodes had been monitoring his hotel stays and that she was about to discover his secret connection with the hotel mate. The healing was just beginning, but so was the danger. 1 week into their unconventional arrangement, Ethan's suite had become a sanctuary where two wounded souls discovered they could heal each other. Jenna arrived each morning at a.m., but her visits had evolved far beyond housekeeping. They talked for hours about everything: childhood memories, dreams, fears, the small details that transformed strangers into intimate companions. Tell me about your grandmother, Ethan said as they shared lunch on his private terrace. He'd had the hotel's executive chef prepare a simple meal that reminded Jenna of home cooking, rather than the elaborate cuisine wealthy guests typically demanded. Nana raised me after my parents died. She's now has diabetes and heart problems. The medical bills are, Jenna paused, not wanting to burden him with financial worries. Expensive, overwhelming. That's why I work 2 jobs. The hotel during the day, cleaning office buildings at night. What would you do if money wasn't an issue? Finish my nursing degree. I was halfway through when my parents died and I had to drop out to work. I've always wanted to help people heal. Ethan felt something shift in his chest as he realized how perfectly that described what she was already doing for him. You are helping people heal. How? You're helping me heal. Not just physically, but emotionally. For years I felt broken, worthless, like I wasn't really a man. When I'm with you, I feel whole. Again, is it working? The physical healing. Every day is better. Yesterday, I woke up feeling normal for the first time since the accident. This morning, I felt capable. strong. Jenna reached across the table and took his hand, that familiar warmth flooding through both of them. I'm glad. What about you? How do you feel when we're together? Safe, cherished, like I matter to someone, beyond what I can do for them. You matter to me, beyond anything you could ever do for me. Their moment was interrupted by Ethan's phone buzzing insistently. The caller ID showed a name that made his expression darken immediately. Who is it? Jenna asked, noting his sudden tension. Someone from my past who shouldn't be calling. He declined to call, but it rang again immediately. Answer it, Jenna said gently. Whatever it is, we'll deal with. Ethan accepted the call with visible reluctance. What do you want? Isabella Rhodes. Hello, darling. I'm in the lobby of your hotel. We need to talk. We have nothing to discuss. We have plenty to discuss, including your interesting new friendship with the housekeeping staff. Ethan felt ice form in his stomach. What are you talking about? Room service is very chatty, especially when properly motivated. Shall I come up, or would you prefer to meet me downstairs? Stay where you are. I'll be right down. Ethan ended the call and turned to Jenna with an expression of dread. That was my ex-fiancée. She knows about us. Somehow. How is that possible? Isabella Rhodes has ways of finding out things she wants to know. She's persistent and she's dangerous. Dangerous how? She destroyed. The last relationship I attempted after our engagement ended, she made the woman's life so miserable that she moved to another state to escape the harassment. Jenna felt fear creep up her spine. What does she want me back? Probably. Isabella Rhodes doesn't accept rejection well. And what do you want? I want her to disappear and leave us alone. But that's not how Isabella Rhodes operates. What are you going to do? I'm going to go downstairs and handle this. You stay here. No. If this affects us, I should be part of the conversation. Jenna, you don't understand what she's capable of. Isabella Rhodes comes from old money, has political connections, and she's completely ruthless when she doesn't get what she wants. Then we face purr together. This isn't your fight. Yes, it is. The moment she threatened our relationship, it became my fight, too. Minutes later, they sat across from Isabella Rhodes in the hotel's elegant lounge. At Isabella Rhodes was conventionally beautiful in the way that came from generations of genetic privilege and unlimited access to personal trainers, stylists, and cosmetic procedures. But her smile held no warmth, and her eyes studied Jenna with undisguised contempt. So, this is your new project, Isabella Rhodes said, her voice dripping with condescension. How charitable of you, Ethan. Jenna is not a project. She's the woman I'm in love with. Love? Isabella Rhodes laughed coldly. Darling, you don't know what love is. You know what guilt is, what obligation feels like, what physical need drives you to. But love? This is just your latest attempt to feel better about yourself. You're wrong. Am I? Let me guess. She makes you feel normal again. Helps with that embarrassing little problem you developed after your parents died. Ethan's jaw tightened. How do you know about that? I know everything about you, darling, including the fact that you've spent years unable to perform until this lovely young woman appeared in your life. Jenna spoke for the first time. What do you want from us? Isabella Rhodes's smile sharpened as she focused her attention on Jenna. What I want is for you to understand the reality of your situation. Dear Ethan isn't in love with you. He's using you as therapy. You make him feel functional again, so he's convinced himself that's love. That's not true, Ethan said firmly, isn't it? When you're cured, when you no longer need her healing presence, how long do you think this little romance will last? A billionaire and a hotel maid. Please, our relationship isn't about class or money. Everything is about class and money, dear. Especially when you're dealing with someone like Ethan who's never had to want for anything in his life. Isabella Rhodes pulled out her phone and showed them a series of photographs, images of Ethan and Jenna together in his suite, on the terrace, holding hands, and talking intimately. These were taken by a private investigator I hired to keep track of Ethan's activities. Imagine how interesting these would be to the tabloid press. Billionaires. Secret romance with hotel maid. The headlines write themselves. You're threatening us, Jenna said quietly. I'm offering you a choice. End this relationship now. Disappear from Ethan's life completely, and these photos stay private. To continue this doomed romance, and I'll make sure everyone knows about it, including your employers, your family, and every media outlet in the country. Isabella Rhodes. You can't, Ethan began. I can, and I will. Unless Jenna makes the smart choice and removes herself from this situation. And if I don't, then you'll discover that your romantic fairy tale comes with consequences you never imagined. Public humiliation, loss of employment, media scrutiny that will follow you for years. Is he really worth all that? Jenna looked at Ethan, seeing the anger and helplessness in his expression. Then she looked back at Isabella Rhodes with surprising calm. You know what I think? I'm sure you're going to tell me. I think you're terrified that what Ethan and I have is real. Because if it's real, it means you never had it with him. It means you lost the best thing that ever happened to you. And now you're watching him find something authentic with someone else. Isabella Rhodes's composed mask slipped slightly. How dare you? I dare, because I love him. Not his money, not his status, not what he can do for me. I love the create. Man who trusts me with his vulnerabilities, who cares about my dreams, who makes me feel valuable just for being myself. How touching. Let's see how long that love lasts. When your face is on every gossip website in America. Isabella Rhodes stood to leave, then paused for one final threat. You have hours to end this relationship, Jenna. After that, I release everything to the media and make sure you both regret not taking my generous offer. After Isabella Rhodes left, Ethan and Jenna sat in stunned silence. I'm sorry, Ethan said finally. I never wanted you to be exposed to something like this. What are we going to do? We're going to fight together. Ethan, you heard what she's threatening. Public exposure, media attention, loss of my job. None of that matters. It matters to me. I can't handle being in the public eye, having strangers judge our relationship, dealing with paparazzi following me around. Then we'll find another way. What if there isn't another way? What if protecting what we have means letting it go? Ethan felt panic rise in his chest as he realized Jenna was considering Isabella Rhodes's ultimatum. You can't be thinking of ending this because of her threats. I'm thinking of protecting both of us from a woman who clearly has the power to destroy our lives. Our lives are just beginning. Jenna, don't let her take that away from us. And if she follows through on her threats, then we face whatever comes together. But we don't let fear make our decisions for us. Jenna looked at the man who had become everything to her in just 1 week, weighing love against the very real danger that loving him might bring. I need time to think. How much time? Hours. The same deadline she gave us. As they returned to Ethan's suite, both of Targ's. Them knew that the next day would determine whether their healing love story would survive or become another casualty of Isabella Rhodes's ruthless determination to win. The choice would be Jenna's to make, but the consequences would belong to both of them. Hours and minutes after Isabella Rhodes's ultimatum, Jenna stood outside Ethan's suite with her decision made and her heart racing. She'd spent the entire night walking the city streets, thinking about everything that had led to this moment, the instant connection, the healing they'd found in each other, and the love that had grown impossibly fast but felt more real than anything she'd ever experienced. She knocked softly and entered to find Ethan standing by the windows, looking like he hadn't slept either. I thought you might not come, he said without turning around. I almost didn't. What changed your mind? I realized something last night. Isabella Rhodes is counting on me being afraid. She's betting that I'll choose safety over love, security over happiness. And maybe the old Jenna would have made that choice. Ethan turned to face her, hope flickering in his eyes. But not the new Jenna. The new Jenna fell in love with a man who showed her what it feels like to tend, be truly valued. The new Jenna isn't going to let some bitter ex-fiancé destroy the best thing that's ever happened to her. So, you're choosing us? I'm choosing us. But I have conditions. Anything. We don't just survive Isabella Rhodes's attack. We win. We find a way to expose her for what she really is and make sure she can never threaten us or anyone else again. How do we do that? We give her exactly what she thinks she wants, then turn it against her. Ethan looked intrigued. Explain. Isabella Rhodes wants to destroy us with public exposure, right? So, we take control of the narrative before she can. We tell our story ourselves, on our terms. You want to go public voluntarily. I want us to share our love story in a way that makes Isabella Rhodes look petty and cruel for trying to destroy it. The media will have a field day with a billionaire maid romance. Let them. But they'll be talking about a genuine love story, instead of whatever twisted version Isabella Rhodes would have fed them. Ethan moved closer to her, amazed by her courage. Jenna, are you sure you're ready for that level of attention? I'm sure I'm ready to fight for us. The attention is just part of the battle. What's the rest of your plan? We investigate Isabella Rhodes, someone that ruthless doesn't get there without leaving victims in her wake. If we can find other people she's hurt, we can expose her pattern of behavior. I love your mind, Ethan said, pulling her into his arms. But there's something I need to tell you first. What? Last night, while you were deciding whether to choose us, I did some investigating of my own. What kind of investigating? I hired a forensic accountant to look into Isabella Rhodes's finances. I wanted to understand how she could afford private investigators and media manipulation on the scale she's threatening. How you find? Isabella Rhodes isn't just using her trust fund for this campaign against us. She's been embezzling money from her family's charitable foundation, money meant for children's hospitals and state cancer research. Jenna felt her anger spike. She's stealing from sick children to fund her personal vendetta, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past years, all traced back to accounts she controls. Do you have proof? Enough to destroy her reputation and send her to prison. So, we have leverage. We have justice. The question is whether we use it defensively or offensively. Jenna considered their options, then smiled with determination that would have made Isabella Rhodes nervous if she could. Have seen it. We use it to save other people from becoming her victims. 3 minutes later, they sat in the hotel's business center with laptops, phones, and a strategy that would either free them from Isabella Rhodes's threats or escalate the conflict beyond anything they'd imagined. First step, Jenna said, we contact every major news outlet with our story. But we don't just talk about our romance. We talk about healing, second chances, and love that transcends social barriers. Second step, we release the sprate. Financial evidence about Isabella Rhodes's embezzlement to law enforcement and the media simultaneously. Let her explain why she's been stealing from children's charities while threatening to destroy a love story. And third step, we get married. Ethan stared at her in shock. What? Isabella Rhodes's threats lose their power if we're already public, already committed, already building a life together. She can't threaten to expose a relationship that we've openly celebrated. Jenna, are you proposing to me? I'm proposing that we skip the long engagement and go straight to the commitment ceremony today before Isabella Rhodes's deadline expires. You want to get married today? I want to marry you today. I want the world to know that what we have is real, permanent, and worth fighting for. Ethan fell to one knee beside her chair in the business center, pulling out a ring he'd been carrying since their second day together. Jenna, will you marry me? Not as a strategy against Isabella Rhodes, not as a media stunt, but because I love you more than I ever thought possible, and I want to spend my life healing with you. Yes? She whispered, tears streaming down her face. Yes to everything. They were married hours later in a small ceremony in the hotel's chapel, with only the hotel manager and his wife as witnesses. By the time Isabella Rhodes called with her final ultimatum, Mr. and Mrs. Ethan were already posting their wedding photos on social media, with a love story that made Isabella Rhodes's threats look like the desperate actions of a bitter ex. You think you've won? Isabella Rhodes hissed over the phone when she realized what they'd done. But I'll destroy you both. The media will tear apart your little fairy tale. Actually, Isabella Rhodes, Jenna said, having taken the phone from Ethan. The media is going to be too busy covering your arrest for embezzlement to worry about our marriage. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the FBI raid on your apartment that's happening right now. Seems someone provided evidence about your theft from children's charities. The line went dead as Isabella Rhodes realized she'd been outmaneuvered completely. Is she really being arrested? Ethan asked. She will be within the hour. Turns out, the FBI takes charity fraud very seriously. So, we're free. We're free to build the life we want without looking over our shoulders. That evening, as they sat together in their suite, now officially their honeymoon suite, reading the overwhelmingly positive media coverage of their wedding, Ethan marveled at how completely his life had transformed. A week ago, I was a broken man who couldn't function. Tonight, I'm married to the most incredible woman in the world, and I feel stronger than I've ever felt in my life. How do you feel? Physically? Perfect. Complete. Like whatever was broken inside me has been healed entirely. Good. Because I have plans for you, husband. What kind of plans? The kind that involve testing your complete recovery very thoroughly. I love being married to you. Show me how much. As Ethan carried his wife to their bedroom, he knew that the healing they'd found in each other was just the beginning of everything beautiful their love would create. Isabella Rhodes's defeat had been swift and complete, but their victory was just getting started. Months after their wedding, Ethan and Jenna's love story had become a global phenomenon. Their simple ceremony had spawned countless articles about love transcending social barriers, but more importantly, it had inspired real change in how society viewed relationships between people of different economic backgrounds. The foundation has received over applications, Jenna announced, reviewing paperwork in what had once been Ethan's sterile home office, but was now their warm family workspace. Hotel workers, hospital staff, retail employees, all wanting to finish their education but unable to afford it. How many can we fund this year? With the current endowment, full scholarships plus partial funding for another 1,000. Ethan looked up from his laptop where he'd been reviewing the quarterly reports from his tech companies. What if we double the endowment? That would mean we could help everyone who applied. Then, let's do it. Ethan, that's another $1 million. It's the best investment we could possibly to make. Jenna stood and moved to sit on his lap, a gesture that still sent electricity through both of them months into marriage. You know what I love most about you? What? You've discovered that using your wealth to change lives gives you more satisfaction than using it to buy things. I've discovered that being married to you makes everything more meaningful, even your medical recovery, especially my medical recovery. Dr. Mateo Ruiz says, my case will be studied for years. Complete psychological healing leading to full physical restoration. Any regrets about how public our story became? None. The media attention helped expose Isabella Rhodes's crimes and gave us a platform to help other people. I'd do it all again. Their conversation was interrupted by Jenna's phone ringing with a call from someone whose name made her smile immediately. It's Nana, she told Ethan before answering. Hi, Nana. How are you feeling? Much better since. That wonderful husband of yours got me the best doctors in the country. But that's not why I'm calling. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I'm calling because I have news. What kind of news? The kind that means you need to start preparing for a grandchild. Jenna felt the world stop spinning. Nana, what are you saying? I'm saying you're pregnant, child. I can hear it in your voice. See it in how you're glowing in those photos you send. When were you planning to tell me? Jenna looked at Ethan with shock and joy. We just found out yesterday. And when? Were you planning to tell your husband? Actually, Nana, he's right here. We were figuring out how to share the news. Well, now you don't have to figure it out. Congratulations to both of you. That baby is going to be surrounded by more love than any child in history. After Nana hung up, Ethan stared at Jenna with wonder. We're having a baby. We're having a baby. Are you ready to be a father? I'm ready to raise a child with the woman who healed my soul and gave me back my life. What if our child inherits your business mind and my stubborn streak? Then they'll change the world. What if they inherit my work, ethic, and your tendency to overthink everything? Then they'll solve problems we haven't even imagined yet. What if they're just normal, not extraordinary or gifted or destined for greatness? Then they'll be perfect, exactly as they are, because they'll be ours. 3 months later, their pregnancy announcement broke the internet again, with thousands of comments from people whose lives had been changed by their foundation, their love story, or simply the proof that authentic love could overcome any obstacle. But the most meaningful response came from an unexpected source. Mrs. Jenna, the voice, belonged to Marcus, the little boy from the hotel, who had seen her cleaning rooms and always smiled when they passed. In the hallway. Hi, Marcus. How are you? I wanted to tell you something important. What's that? My mama says you and Mr. Ethan showed me that love is about how people treat each other, not about how much money they have. Your mama is very wise. She's getting married next month to a man who works at the grocery store. She says it's okay because you proved that love matters more than anything else. Love does matter more than anything else. Will you come to the wedding as our special guests? Jenna felt tears forming. We would be honored to attend your mama's wedding. The wedding was everything Jenna and Damien's hadn't been. A large celebration in a community center with dozens of families who had been inspired by their story to believe in love that transcended economic barriers. Children ran between the tables while adults danced to music played by a DJ who donated his services after hearing about the couple's story. Look what we started, Ethan whispered to Jenna as they watched Marcus's mother dance with her new husband. Both of them radiating happiness. We didn't start this. We just showed people that it was possible. Same thing. No, it's not. We got lucky. We found each other and figured out how to make it work. These people had to believe in themselves enough to try for the same thing. Dr. Mateo Ruiz approached them during the reception with news that made their evening even more special. I wanted you both to know that your case study has been published in the Journal of Psychological Medicine. Hospitals around the world are already implementing new treatment protocols based on your recovery. What kind of protocols? Jenna asked. Holistic healing. Approaches that address emotional trauma alongside physical symptoms. The PROOT connection between psychological safety and physical recovery that you demonstrated is revolutionizing how we treat patients. Meaning hundreds of people with similar conditions to what Ethan experienced are being helped by understanding that healing requires both medical intervention and emotional connection. So our love story is helping other people heal too. Your love story is proving that the most powerful medicine is often human connection. 8 months later, Jenna gave birth to a healthy daughter they named Hope. As Ethan held his child for the first time, he marveled at how completely his life had transformed. From the broken man who couldn't function, to the father and husband whose greatest joy came from the past family love had created. "She's perfect," he whispered, studying Hope's care. "Tiny features." "She's ours," Jenna replied, exhausted but radiant. "Our miracle baby." "What do you think she'll be when she grows up?" "Whatever she wants to be, she'll have every opportunity in the world." "What if she wants to be a hotel maid?" "Then she'll be the best hotel maid in history and will be proud of her choice." "What if she wants to be a billionaire CEO?" "Then she'll use her wealth to help people, just like her father learned to do." "What if she just wants to help people heal like her mother?" "Then the world will be a better place because she's in it." As they sat together in the hospital room, holding their daughter and planning the future they would build as a family, both Ethan and Jenna understood that their love story had been about much more than healing one man's medical condition. It had been about proving that love could overcome any obstacle, bridge any divide, and create miracles that rippled outward to heal other broken hearts and give hope to people who had stopped believing in happy endings. Their healing had become everyone's healing. Their love had become everyone's inspiration. Their ending had become everyone's new beginning. Years later, the annual Love Without Limits conference had grown from a small gathering to an international event attended by thousands of couples who had overcome class, cultural, and social barriers to find authentic love. Ethan and Jenna stood on the main stage of the convention center, looking out at an audience that represented every possible combination of backgrounds, professions, and economic circumstances. "Started this conference years ago," Jenna said into the microphone. "We thought we were just sharing our story. We had no idea we were starting a movement." 4-year-old Hope sat in the front row, with Nana clapping enthusiastically, even though she didn't fully understand why Mommy and Daddy were on the big stage. At her feet played year-old David, their son, who had inherited Ethan's intensity and Jenna's compassionate heart. "This year, we've received over stories from couples around the world," Ethan continued. "Doctors who married their patients, family members, CEOs who fell in love with their assistants, lawyers who chose love with janitors, teachers who married construction workers, artists who found their soulmates and accountants. Every story proves the same thing." Jenna added, "Love doesn't care about your job title, your bank account, or what neighborhood you grew up in. Love cares about who you are when everything else is stripped away." In the audience, Marcus, now years old, sat with his mother and stepfather, both of whom credited Jenna and Ethan's example with giving them the courage to ignore societal expectations and follow their hearts. Beside them sat Dr. Rodriguez, who had written 3 books about holistic healing, inspired by Ethan's recovery. But today isn't just about celebrating love stories. Ethan said, his tone becoming more serious. "Today, we're announcing something that will change how society supports couples facing the challenges we faced." Jenna smiled as she prepared to share news they've been planning for months. The Love Without Limits Foundation is partnering with the United Nations to create the Global Marriage Equality Initiative. This program will provide legal, financial, and social support for couples whose relationships face discrimination based on economic, cultural, or social differences, Ethan explained, starting with pilot programs in countries, expanding to worldwide implementation within years. Audience erupted in applause as they realized the scope of what was being announced, a global effort to remove barriers to love and marriage regardless of social status. We're also announcing the establishment of the Healing Hearts Medical Network, Jenna continued, worldwide system of treatment centers for people suffering from trauma-related physical conditions like the one Ethan experienced. Dr. Mateo Ruiz stood and applauded, knowing that this network would help thousands of patients who needed the same holistic approach that had saved Ethan's life. The first center opens next month in Philadelphia, in the same hotel where we met, Ethan said. Because sometimes the places where we find love become the places where others can find healing. After their presentation, they mingled with conference attendees, whose stories ranged from inspiring to heartbreaking to miraculous. Sarah, a former billionaire's daughter who had married her bodyguard, shared how their foundation had helped them start a security company that protected other unconventional couples from family and social pressure. James, a former hotel worker who had married a pharmaceutical ace, explained how the business loans from their foundation had allowed him to open a chain of hotels that specifically catered to working-class families who wanted luxury experiences at affordable prices. You've created an entire ecosystem of support, observed Maria Santos, a journalist who had covered their story from the beginning, not just for individual couples, but for changing how society thinks about love and marriage. We didn't create anything, Jenna replied. We just showed people that love was possible. They created the changes themselves. What's next for your family? Ethan looked at his wife and children, still amazed that his life had become more beautiful than anything he'd ever imagined. More healing, more helping, more love. Are you planning more children? We're planning whatever makes our family complete, Jenna answered diplomatically, though her hand instinctively moved to her stomach where a third child was growing. News they hadn't shared publicly yet. That evening, as they tucked Hope and David into bed in their hotel suite, the same suite where their love story had begun, both children demanded the story they'd heard hundreds of times, but never tired of hearing. Tell us about the day you met, Hope said, snuggling against Jenna. Tell us about when Daddy was broken and Mommy fixed him, David added, climbing onto Ethan's lap. Well, Jenna began, once upon a time, there was a sad man who lived in a beautiful castle but felt empty inside. And there was a kind woman who worked very hard taking care of other people, but forgot to take care of herself, Ethan continued. One day the woman came to clean the man's castle, and something magical happened. Jenna said, What happened? Hope asked, even though she later knew the answer by heart. They saw each other's hearts, Ethan explained, not their jobs or their money or what other people thought about them. They saw the love that was waiting inside each other. And the man got all better? David asked. The man got much better, but more. Importantly, both of them learned that love makes everything possible. Will we find love like that when we grow up? Hope asked. You'll find whatever kind of love is right for you, Jenna assured her. It might be different from ours, but it will be perfect for who you are. And if people say mean things about who we love, then you remember that love is stronger than mean words, Ethan said. And you remember that Mommy and Daddy will always support you no matter what. After the children fell asleep, Jenna and Ethan sat on their balcony overlooking the city where their lives had intersected in the most unlikely way. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't been assigned to clean your room that day? Jenna asked. I try not to think about it. That version of my life was too dark to imagine continuing. Do you ever regret how public our story became? Never. The publicity allowed us to help thousands of people find love and healing. How could I regret that? Even when reporters follow us to grocery stores. Even then, privacy is a small price to pay for the chance to change the world. Speaking of changing the world, Jenna said, taking his hand and placing it on her still flat stomach, we're going to need a bigger car. Ethan's eyes widened as he understood what she was telling him. Really, Hope and David are going to have a little sister or brother. When? Spring, right around the time the first Healing Heart Center opens. Perfect timing. Are you ready for 3 children? I'm ready for whatever our love creates. As they sat together, planning for their growing family and their expanding mission to heal the world through love, Both Ethan and Jenna understood that their story had become something far greater than a romance between two unlikely people. It had become proof that love could overcome any obstacle, heal any wound, and create miracles that rippled outward to touch millions of lives. The broken billionaire and the hotel maid had become symbols of hope for anyone who had ever been told their love wasn't possible, their dreams weren't realistic, or their hearts weren't worthy of healing. Their love story had become everyone's love story. Their healing had become the world's healing. Their forever had become everyone's new beginning. And in hotel rooms around the world, other maids were meeting other guests. Other hearts were recognizing their matches. And other love stories were beginning that would prove once again that the most powerful force in the universe is love without limits. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out.